Getting in a rut is really frustrating, and it can be almost impossible to get out of if you cannot get a hold of your mind. And that's where you should start. It's imperial that you get rid of all the noise in your head and the fluff in your life so you can get a hold of your mind, right? You need to just make sure this place is just clean, right? It's clean and it's clear, and you're able to actually just think about where you want to go and how you're going to get there, right? And you have more time to just do that, where you get rid of all the fluff that's in your life and all the noise that's in your head. Now, how do you do that? You know how you need to do that. You can just stop consuming content and stop consuming music. I don't know if you've noticed in my recent videos, I have been becoming more outspoken against music, and it can be a very difficult one to like get away from, because most people think like, okay, I understand, I need to get rid of like the content that I'm watching. It's wasting hours of my time and everything, and that's understandable. But when you start talking to people about their music, I don't imagine people are going to be too happy about hearing about that. They're probably thinking like, well, music is like, it's a part of life, right? Like, you need to consume it all the time. No, like when you're trying to get a hold of your life now, and I think I need to make it clear, like, getting out of a rut is very difficult. You probably know that. That's why you've clicked on this video. You've watched countless videos on how to get out of a rut, and you haven't gotten out of it. Right? So I think it's important first that you realize just how serious this is. It's an extreme situation, and you need to take extreme measures. Now, why do you need to get rid of music? Okay, you're probably thinking it's fine. Like, there's nothing too wrong with it. I can listen to music while I work out, and it pumps me up. It helps me hit my PRs and everything. Maybe if you're doing that, maybe it's fine. But I think for the most part, music is not that great. I'll give you an example for me when I realized just how like music wasn't being that productive to my life. It's when I would listen to music. Whenever I'd study, right, I'd study in blocks, and then I'd go on like a 30-minute break. I'd study for like 2 hours, and then I'll go on a 30-minute break. Then I'll come back and study. But on that 30-minute break, I would listen to music as I was going down getting ready. I'd go for a walk, and I'd listen to music on the walk. And I realized that when I come back in, I'm supposed to sit down like at a specific time. First of all, that time would like get extended, because obviously that's usually what happens. You extend your break because you don't want to sit down and study. But a lot of it was to do like, oh, I've got this song. Okay, let me finish listening to this song, and then there's the next song that's coming. I just want to play that song, then I'll start, right? Which that wasn't even like the worst part of it, right? When I sat down, when I finally got myself to sit down and start working again, I found myself, that song is like stuck in my head, and I'm like rapping to it, and I'm getting hyped. And this is where my biggest gripe with music and like productivity comes in, where I think they don't clash very well. And when I say music, I'm mainly I listen to like rap and like mainly really upbeat music. And I'm guessing you probably listen to the same type of music. The problem with that kind of music is that it gets you too hyped, right? And the thing, the overall point I'm trying to make here is that it overstimulates you. And when you're used to just stimulation doing everything, right? If you're washing the dishes, you're listening to music. If you're working out, you're listening to music. If you're going on a walk, you're listening to music, right? You're doing chores, you're listening to music. When you have to sit down and study, and you get people who can't even study without listening to music, and that just shows you how ridiculous it is, because that's not even remotely productive, unless you're listening to like one of those productive music like playlists with like 40 hertz sounds, or those fancy things. Unless it's that, which more often than not, it's not that. A lot of people will listen to rap while they're studying. I'm like, you're not focusing. You're just not. Whatever focusing you think you're doing, it's clashing, right? And if you think, oh, I can multitask, there've been studies that have shown that humans are not capable of multitasking. All you do is switch, right, between activities. So when you're listening to music and you're studying, you're switching between like reading and comprehending what's being said, and then you're going back to the music. That's not productive, right? And when you're used to like being so stimulated over long periods of time, sitting down and doing something boring like studying, it's going to be absolutely like, it's going to be so difficult, right? And that's like the main reason why you probably do need to quit content, but also music as well. Because if you quit content and you keep listening to music, you're going to have the same problem, because you're still stimulating yourself, right? And then when it's time to sit down and do something that's boring, you're not able to do it. So getting rid of music, actually, I'm not finished my point about music. I'm ripping new music, a new one this time. It's not just about like the overstimulating part. It's also the fact that when you're listening, again, mainly when I talk about music, I mainly talk about rap, right? I don't really listen to like, but even the mainstream music from nowadays, like pop, it's very close to like rap in terms of like the beats and like what they sing about. So I guess they all just get lumped in. But it's like you're living vicariously through like the rappers and what they're talking about. You're not living that life, right? So why are you you're talking about, oh, I'm making this much money, or I'm living a life like this, it's making you feel like you've achieved it when you haven't, right? And it makes you, it hypes you up, right? Which is, it's cool, like, to get hyped up, but it hypes you up for the wrong reasons. It hypes you up because the person's talking about a life they're living, and it's like, oh, like, you feel like you're living with them, you're living through them, you're living that lifestyle through them. They're like, oh, I made a mil this month, I made £1,000,000 this month, and it's like, oh yes, I did, right? Your brain is like, oh, I actually did. And it's it's not going to make you productive. It's not conducive to productivity. So yeah, stop listening to music if you haven't gotten the point I'm trying to make. But yes, step one is to make sure you're clearing like the noise out of your mind. You just want to like just relax, just allow yourself to be bored, allow yourself time to think and contemplate life and the things you're doing, right? Then step two, which I always advocate for, is creating a routine, right? Just set out like goals that you want to hit, maybe like 3, and then you create a routine based on those goals, right? A routine that includes all the things that if you're to do those things every day, if you're to follow that routine every day, you're going to hit those 3 goals after a certain period of time, right? That's just like the basics of how you're going to build a routine, right? And the advantage of a routine is that it automates your day, right? You just know what you're doing every single day. And when I say routine, okay, I know there's a lot of people who can do like, they're not like as rigid as me. Like for me, I like to have like the blocks, like I'm doing this at this time, I bath at this time, I do this, and it's the same thing like every day. I know there's a lot of people who like to have like free flow, which you know, I don't think that works for most people, but and even for the people that do it, I don't think it works that well for you. But if it does, do it, right? But the routine, like I said, you're gonna base it off of like your 3 goals, right? And I want to bring in the Pareto principle in this, right? Which is basically 80% of your results come from 20% of the things that you do, right? And your routine, it's not going to be easy for you to, in fact, I can guarantee you're not going to be perfect over a long period of time, and that's fine. Like as long as you keep like you're consistent most of the time, right? And going back to the Pareto principle, you want to make sure that those 20%, you want to make sure on 90% of your days you're hitting that 20%, right? That 20% that produces 80% of your results. You want to make sure that 20% you're hitting it 90% of the time, right? So basically, most of your days, you want to make sure you're hitting that 20%. That's the most important. And if that 20% for you, again, when it comes to like work, getting a good physique, it's obviously working out. You want to make sure you're working out like 90% of the time, right? Or if you want to like learn how to make money, you've probably like done all the things, all the research you need on like how to create your business or what it is you want to do to make money. Make sure you're doing that 90% of the time, because again, that's going to produce 80% of your results, right? You know what your 20% is, right? Just do the important things most of the time is the point I'm trying to make. But yeah, those are like the 2 things. Make sure you clear the noise out of your mind, stop listening to music, and make sure you create a routine that targets your goals and you do the most important things most of the days. Yeah, and that's how you get out of it, right? Basically. Make sure you subscribe to join the Self-Improvement Brotherhood, and until next time, I'll see you boys.